This is a game we'll be supporting for years and years to come, so please keep all the feedback coming. Even if we don't get to your requests immediately, we'd love to do it in the future, like city maps. Our priority initially is making sure any top blocker bugs or stability issues are addressed and adding quality of life features that many are asking for. Now that is a beautiful thing to hear. Starfield news has just dropped along with a brand new game update. Welcome back to Fudge Muppet, my name is Scott, and Bethesda has released a post on their website outlining the fixes coming to update 1.7.29, including improved stability related to installations for Xbox, various stability and performance improvements to reduce crashes and improve frame rate, and in my opinion, the most important things to ever fix in a game ASAP: issues where a player cannot continue the game because of a glitch. Personally, I had no problems with this, but this would suck so much if you encountered a bug like this. I have a friend personally that couldn't complete the UC Vanguard questline because of such a bug, and man, that questline is so awesome, so that was a massive bummer. So I am glad they're working as soon as possible on things like this. These were the issues they specifically listed for the most recent update, so take note if any of these apply to you. All That Money Can Buy fixed an issue where the player activity could result in a quest blocker. Into the Unknown fixed an issue that could prevent the quest from appearing after the game is completed. Shadows in Neon fixed an issue where player activity could result in a quest blocker. But I didn't just come here to tell you that there's an update out now. But Bethesda has also committed to adding a whole host of features across a whole bunch of updates to come. Things such as brightness and contrast controls, HDR calibration menus, a field of view slider, NVIDIA DLSS support, 32:9 ultra-wide monitor support, and an eat button for food. Apparently these are the top community requested features that will be added to the game over the course of the coming updates. I'm kind of surprised that an eat button for food is such a high community priority, but to each their own, munch away. But things like brightness and contrast controls, along with the FOV slider, which probably should have been there at launch, are going to be a more than welcome addition. The great thing here, in fact my favorite statement in this entire post, is we're also reading all your great feedback on what you'd like to see improved or added to the game. This is a game we'll be supporting for years and years to come, so please keep all the feedback coming. Even if we don't get to your requests immediately, we'd love to do it in the future, like city maps. This is amazing to hear, and it makes me so damn excited. If it wasn't clear already, Michael and I love Starfield, but there are flaws and some things that we'd like to see addressed. Now, for context, we haven't experienced any serious bugs or any major performance issues, but in terms of the game itself, there are some improvements we would absolutely love to see tweaked. One such thing is the effectiveness of Unarmed. I made a whole video about how much it sucks, but honestly, the damage output of Unarmed is just abysmal, and even playing a dedicated unarmed character with all points invested in boxing, martial arts, and Eurostrikes, it's just not a good experience, nor is it effective. And yes, I'm aware that concealment can boost the damage for one strike if they are knocked out, but people seem to forget how much of a grind Unarmed is even at the earlier levels before you have the later skills, and it just isn't rewarding. And no, I don't want to hear realism about unarmed damage output, because A, people can be killed by fists, and B, enemies in Starfield can eat multiple headshots. What's more unrealistic, getting shot in the head 8 times and surviving, or getting punched twice and dying? I'm not making the argument for realism in the slightest. I'm on the side of fun gameplay, and unarmed just is not fun at the moment. Bethesda, if you're listening, some very, I think, easy to make adjustments would be increasing the unarmed damage by at least twice what it is, probably more, and removing the stalling that happens at the end of the 3-punch animation cycle. It just feels super clunky to use, and it's a shame because there are 3 whole skills dedicated to the use of the unarmed skill. As someone who loves role-playing and a diversity of playstyles, I'd love to make some monk in space type character, someone with a bouncer background who was a neon street rat, and then he ended up finding God and joined the Universal Church, reformed his life and stopped getting involved with the criminal underworld, a transformation that was set in motion after his friend was shot and killed, and hence he refuses to use such dirty weapons. Unfortunately, at the moment, I wouldn't be able to do this just because unarmed is so unenjoyable to use. And as much as I'm entirely used to the UI now, there would definitely be some welcome improvements. To be honest, even just little things like when you use the show on map selection in the mission objectives, I'd love if it just snapped straight to it, instead of showing me the whole zoom out and pan across the galaxy process. If I want to know where it is in relation to where I am, I can just zoom out myself from there. A snappier UI would be welcome. The way I feel about it, especially for a game where you spend more time in the menus than usual, I think it would be good to cut that time by having it be far snappier. But let's not forget the talented work of modders can also be put towards addressing these issues, and it's worth noting that this article covers a bunch of info about modding. Additionally, we are working on our built-in mod support, creations, that will work across all platforms, similar to what we've done with Skyrim and Fallout 4. This full support is planned to launch early next year. Until then, we know our PC community is already very active in the modding space, and if you have any feedback on how we can make this better, please let us know. Modding and creating in our games will always be a vital and important part of who we are, and we love seeing the community get off to such a strong start. It's so great to hear that they are open to feedback and so willing to support this game for a long time. The potential for DLCs and gameplay updates is immense, and it's so easy to slot in a new system with new planets, or a new fixed location on existing planets, or new ships and star stations. Man, they've got to do a new DLC expanding House Varun more. They are so sick. And learning all the lore about their secret homeworld of Varun Kai, man, that's so cool. I'd love to see more content updates in regards to assets, more melee weapons, more ship assets to use in shipbuilding, things like that. But there is a good chance that modders will beat Bethesda to the punch with content like this. And man, I know personally I didn't really care about the modding potential of Starfield before I had played it, because I was pretty skeptical / cynical about Starfield in general. But man, having played the game, loved it, having become so invested in it, the DLC and modding potential excites me so much now. But what is interesting to take from here is this mention of creations. This seems to be the name they are going with for their built-in support for modding, which they say will be similar to what they've done with Skyrim and Fallout 4. This is planned to launch early next year, but that sly mention of creations is of course, as we expect, going to introduce paid mods like the Creation Club in prior iterations. I mean, the end user license agreement on their website says the ZeniMax terms of service include terms and conditions applicable to virtual currency, as such term is defined in the ZeniMax terms of service, including terms that grant you to a non-exclusive limited license for virtual currency. Such terms and conditions apply to the virtual currency, if any, licensed to you for use with the game. The creation credits associated with this game are virtual currency and are subject to terms and conditions. This was to be expected, of course, based on their previous games' Creation Club content. I have mixed feelings about Creation Club in general. On one hand, I like all the brand new content that gets made for the game, plus it's vetted somewhat to fit within the world. But on the other hand, paying piecemeal for skins or a new gun will probably never feel great. I think these new weapons and armors and additions like this are best implemented in actual DLCs, where people feel like they are getting a good chunk of worthwhile new content that brings all these extras like the new weapons and armors and so on, along with a whole bunch of new story and quests to complete. I'll reserve all my judgment until this is all implemented early next year, and then I'll revisit the topic. Ultimately, the big takeaway I think is that Bethesda is committing to a long-term support of the game, and I'm really looking forward to see more news about the upcoming Shattered Space story expansion, which future access to came with the premium or Constellation editions of the game. I'm really excited to have persistent support for the game, adding new quests and story content, new expansions. Imagine if Skyrim, for example, continued to have DLCs for years afterwards, after Dawnguard and Dragonborn. That's what I am crossing my fingers for. But yeah, it was a small update. I can imagine the rest of the year will continue to roll out these small fixes and additions like those listed, which makes sense. The priority should be to get the game as stable as possible before introducing new things. But I can expect 2024 will be a big year for Starfield, as modding support in the first quarter and likely new DLCs will be dropping as well. So if you are on the fence about Starfield, then you have the option to wait it out for a few months, wait for some of the fixes, and jump in around Christmas. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Give the video a like and subscribe for daily Starfield content. The new pirate build should be dropping real soon, with many more to follow. My name is Scott. Thanks again, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again real soon.